Welcome, everybody. I'm Henry, and that's Laura, and we're
I'm
so excited.
Laura.
We're so excited to be here again. So, we're going to do what we did last week and split our episodes, our this fourth episode into two parts again. And this first part we're really excited about because we're going to, like we built on the letters last time, we're going to build on astrology this time and really talk about the houses and some things that are going to happen with the new moon. And I'm so excited to do it because after Laura told me things last week and the week before, I've been checking in and everyone's feeling it. So it's definitely been happening. So, Laura, can we talk about
Yeah.
the
Well,
houses?
the idea is not just for you to hear, okay, what's going to happen this week, but also for you to get to be able to figure it out on your own. So, with each episode, we're going to be explaining one more piece of astrology. So, eventually, you are going to be able to look at the sky or look at your natal chart and then understand what these energies mean specifically for you. Because what we are doing now is just talking in general. When we say this is what's happening in the sky right now, and these are the energies that are pulling us this week, we all have a unique wiring. So we all have our own natal chart, and what can be stressful for one can be actually encouraging for the other person, depending of how you have the planets located in your natal chart and how they're interacting with each other. So we feel that the more information we can share with you, with practice and with time and with patience, you're going to be able to understand the information that we're sharing, where it's coming from, but also understand how to make it unique, how understand how apply this into your own physical experience.
Absolutely. And
So
I think we've used a couple terms over the first several episodes, and one is the letters can act as a cheat code for expediting something, how you feel, healing, connecting, different things. But the other thing is that almost the reverse of the cheat code, the planets in your natal chart start to show you. I look at it almost like it's your user's manual. Like, this is the information you come here with to, and if you know it, it'll help you work and navigate through what's impacting you. Everyone's gonna still continue to live and continue to feel things, and you're gonna have highs and lows, and that's part of our journey. But if you know that there's a way to kind of read it and know and almost feel comfortable with that. I know I'm going through X, Y, and Z. It's easier. I think it's really easier. And my example over the last week and a half was that you mentioned that it would be more emotional, and and I know several people that just feel like they've had high highs and lower lows, and I just said, well, that's part of where the moon is right now on a cycle, and it made them feel better that there wasn't something else going on, that it's just in some ways you can ride the wave a little bit.
that's how I
And
feel when I know we are going through really strong emotional times and I am feeling these emotions. You feel like when the emotions are out of control, a little problem like this in your mind, it's a tornado.
yeah,
So knowing that, okay, this is tornado time, you wait to make a decision because you know you don't have that much clarity. If you want to react to something or to someone, you probably wait because you know you're not going to have the clarity.
right.
So, knowing that you are making something exponentially bigger because your emotions might be out of control, it's just helpful because now you take your time and you understand these are complicated times. I wait until next week. And you most of the time next week you'll find or you'll see the same situation with clarity, and you know what to do, better.
And the confidence level of waiting sometimes, and then the reverse is sometimes true.
Yeah.
Mars is in action, and it's the time, and you feel driven to do it. So that little analogy we did where it feels like a little bit of a breeze in your face or a little bit of breeze behind your back pushing you, that one kind of rings for me, because sometimes things just feel easier and sometimes things just feel a little bit harder.
Mhm.
And then sometimes there's major shifts happening, and you can start to understand those major shifts. So like you said, we want to get to this point where everyone feels like they can personalize the message.
Yeah,
And so these first couple are the basics. So let's jump
the
into
very
it.
basics. But also, I want to share this. You want to apply this information in two different ways. For me, the most important one is to understand your natal chart. And you can go online and Google free natal chart, and there are dozens of websites that can actually will give you your birth chart. For that, you're gonna need your date of birth, the exact time of your birth, and the place. So because it's going to be like a picture of the sky the moment that you were born. That's what it needs. Actually, the time is very, very important, because the time is what figures the houses or where things happen in your life. So in one hand, you will have your own wiring, which is the picture. You're gonna be able to understand your own wiring. How was the sky when you were born? But also you can look into websites how the sky is right now. So you will have the information of how things apply to you and what's happening now. So there are two things that you're going to be able to interpret once you know how to read a natal chart.
Awesome.
And now we're jumping into the houses. I was thinking how to get started, and I think understanding houses, um, it's probably the easiest way. So we created this PDF here. Can you see it, Henry?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a natal chart, and this is actually the natal chart that we are going to use today. If you see here, there are numbers from 1 to 12 that run counterclockwise. The one, which it will be the first house, starts with the beginning, or it starts with this red arrow, which is called the ascendant. And it's very important, and we're going to talk about this in next episodes. But this is a house, the first house. And come from here to the center of the zodiac sign. This will be the center of this wheel, will be where you are. So it looks kind of like a pizza slide, if you can see the arrow here. Does that make sense, Henry? Okay. So
Yes.
this is for house, and of course we have second and third and fourth. So what a house is an area of your life. I just have the planets in the natal chart shows you what is happening. The zodiac sign, which is this outer wheel, and each one is 30 degrees, shows you how is happening. But where is happening? You can find it when you look at your natal charts. We can see now, and we're going to talk about this later when we analyze the new moon, that this new moon will have a lot of action in the 11th house, the 10th, the 8th, and the 7th. And you will see there are houses that are not going to be of that much action. So let's talk now about, and the other thing, that the way I like to explain, or the way that I like to interpret houses, is by looking at axes from 1 to 7, 2 to 8, 3 to 9, kind of what is on the other side of the wheel. That gives me a better understanding, and I think it will be easier to explain houses that way. All
Great.
right. So let's start with 1, 7. And I'm going to show you, this is 1, and right in front of it, a 7 here. Okay? So houses 1, 7. The first house is the house of the self, our personality. how others see us. Sometimes actually it's hard for us to see ourselves, but when people say, oh, I think you are always very strong, and you say, I don't see myself, I'm strong. Well, I am strong, I'm not seeing it, but that's how the world is perceiving me. It takes a little bit of inner search and inner work to discover what personality, how you're navigating this reality. But for others to see it in you, it's very clear and very easy. So it's also how we relate to the other world, self-image, physical body, what we like and what we dislike. So pretty much is um, this image that we use to navigate this reality. Imagine that you're going through a journey, you're going traveling. Well, the car that you're driving to get you to places, that will be the first house, how people see you,
I like
okay?
it.
And your
I
personality.
like this juxtaposition too of house 7, because you can see how they play together. So that's
Yes,
really good.
it's an idea of opposition with balancing, um, and being complementary. So it's a really nice way of seeing when of analyzing the natal chart when you can combine the two houses that are in opposition, because the seventh house is others and is our relationship, is how we see others, how we relate to others. When you over identify with others, sometimes you become codependent. When you start feeling that others are too important in your life, then it's time to go back to the first house, your own house, and see, okay, what I like, what I want. But too much of what I want sometimes create problems with, okay, but I'm in a marriage, what my husband want or what my wife want. So they're always interacting with each other. And the idea would be to have them balanced. Um, is the the seventh house is the house of primary relationships, husbands, wives, business partners. It's how you interact with the people that are very important in your life, the one that
So
really
best
create.
friends too, would best friends count?
um, Friendship is house 5.
Oh,
But when you have a friend, you know those friends that when you are in trouble, you call and ask for advice, and you really, excuse me, you kind of trust their opinion. And based on their opinion, you can make changes in your life. So when when a friend is that important in your life, that becomes part of your seventh house.
got it.
Okay.
This is great.
Um, yeah, let me just remove this. Okay, now we're going to move to the axis 2, 8. Here, 2 and
So
8.
this one's important because we got a lot of action in 8 right now.
Yes. But just for this cycle with the new moon, excuse me, the second house. Second house is the house of basically money and wealth, material possessions and resources, your talents. Because with your talents, when you use your talents, then you can make money. So really is the tool that you have to navigate this reality. You come with a personality, but then you need resources to navigate through life. And the resources that you have is in the second house. Your earning abilities, how we make money, how we connect with money, how easy it is for us to manifest abundance. Very, very important, self-worth, self-esteem. How much you trust yourself. How much are you able to express your gift? Can you see them? And then if you see them, can you show the world what you have? Because when you use your gifts, when you share your gift with the world, then comes the exchange of energy. You give and then you receive. And how you receive with money. So that way you can use that energy and do something else with it. But honoring who you are, believing in who you are, that all has to do with second house. So it's what you have to navigate this reality. Not just material things, but also how you see yourself. You see like you can overcome obstacles. You feel that you are unique, and your uniqueness is a nice thing. Do you feel you have a specific talent? You feel you have something to give to the world. Okay?
Love it.
So in opposition is the eighth house, and the eighth house is what we get from others. Second house, what we have. Eighth house, what we get from others. So it would be other people's money and other people's resources, joint resources, inheritance. Also have to do with transformation, because the eighth house is associated with Scorpio and is ruled by Pluto. So it is deeply connected with the inner transformation, the shadow work, mysticism, the process of death and rebirth, and through that process, inner healing. So this is the eighth house. This is a very emotional house. Pretty much what we bring from previous lifetimes, or what we bring from our ancestors, which is house 4, we're going to talk about that, get transformed, transmuted, and healed through the eighth house. And the other thing that is very important is sex is also connected to the eighth house, because relationships are for the seventh house. So once you go deeper into a relationship with your partner, that opening that you express with your partner, sexual connection and deep emotional connection, that most of the time only one person gets to know you that well, that happens in the eighth house. In a way, in the eighth house is where you really remove your mask and somebody can see you, your shadow, your gifts, and the other person becomes the mirror.
Well, what's really like a simple way that, I think about what you just said is house 2 feels like, okay, so this is what the outer world sees. They see your house, they see your car. But house 8 is really, this is what very few people see. This is this is how you are when you're at these turning points in some of the mysticism piece. Because if death and rebirth is in the process, then there's important things happening, and this is what you look like and feel like when you're doing that. And that is, you typically, very few people getting to see that.
Mm-hmm. Whatever relationship, strong relationship you have in the seventh house, which is the house of marriage we just discussed, you bring it to a next level in the eighth house.
Awesome. That's great.
Now, we are moving now to the axis 3, 9 here. And let me just bring, there you go. Third house.
That looks like my glasses.
Third house, house of communication and perception of our reality. The third house is ruled by Gemini, therefore ruled by Mercury. Mercury is all mind. So with the third house is how we perceive reality, how we interpret reality, how we interact with others. It's a house of exchanging information. Speaking, writing, teachings are in this house. And I know of people that, for example, have Saturn in the third house. And that means that you have something to overcome. Usually people with Saturn in the third house will feel like learning or communicating is difficult. But with work, they become a master, because that's what Saturn tells you. So that's what's so important to understand what happened in each house. Everything related to speaking, writing, and teachings, how we communicate, how we exchange information happens in the third house. Early education, school, middle school, high school, third house. Knowledge, short trips. It has to do with neighborhoods. So moving within your neighborhood, maybe within the state, have to do with the third house. Also have to do with the people that were with you through your childhood, your cousins, your classmates, everyone that was shaping you as you were growing. Okay, but I think the key words here is perception of reality and communication.
The other thing that kind of goes with all of the houses and what you just said about Saturn and the third house is having an understanding of, on your tool set, you come with this one as a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel drawn to it, it's probably because that's something that you're supposed to do and will do and have and be great at. And if you have something that is an obstacle and everyone does, it's nice to know where it is and what you have to kind of work through.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that whole your owner's manual playbook, this you can see how it's starting to come into focus because of learning the houses.
Yeah, that is a great way to explain it, Henrik, because I really, the more I connected with astrology, the more I was able to find key things in my life to embrace, but also to heal. So I have Jupiter in my third house, and Jupiter is all fun and want to expand and grow. So for me, talking is something that gives me a lot of pleasure in sharing what I have or my views, and interacting with others is something that means a lot. But because of what happened for me in the second house, that I have problems, I was not appreciating that people were feeling happy talking to me. So I was not seeing that in me. The moment that I realized, oh, I have Jupiter in my third house, that means go ahead, I can flow through this. Things are gonna be fine. So it didn't change my life because I was always having fun, but now I know that I can have fun with it. So do more of it.
And it's okay to and it's okay to have fun. And the part I think that piece of knowing Jupiter's there will say, I know it's only going to get bigger and it's only going to expand, and that's what's been happening with you, and you're really good at it, so it's a good thing.
Well, the thing is, but I cannot see the good because what happened in my second house. So
Right.
I have to watch out the second house, go for it with the third house. So again, this is not limiting you in any way, but it's just giving you insights and it's giving you confidence. Go for it. And know
Absolutely.
what is going to be difficult, but you'll have the strength to overcome. You know what gifts you have that will help you overcome what comes difficult for you. So third house, one of my favorites. And then you have on the other side, house 9. So if the third house is understanding our reality, the 9th house is understanding what is beyond our reality. It's our spiritual search, is how we connect with what is beyond our reality. So that's why we have spirituality, we have religions in the 7th house, we have the spiritual teachers, the gurus, everything that makes you go beyond what you're perceiving right now in front of you. That is the 9th house. If third house is early education, then 9th house is higher education. So people that really are focusing on going to college and PhDs and trying to always learn more and more about something, that is related to the ninth house.
And maybe the corollary to what you said about Jupiter being in house 3, if Jupiter's in house 9, then you're fed when you're at college, and you feel fed doing your MBA and just continuously
We're always
learning.
looking for more. It
Then
never
you're,
ends.
and so where you feel that, you're gonna, when we get done with this, before you get your natal chart, you're gonna know where Jupiter probably is, because where you feel fed just continuously, that you almost can't get enough, it just is a place of joy for you, you're gonna see that you've been drawn to that.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will say things like, well, I can't just be in college like all my life. And I say to myself, maybe you can. You're putting a limit on the universe right now. If this is where you're fed, like, you can do that. So there's some neat parts about this as well. So
yeah, the
really,
ninth house is not as much as bringing something to physicality or making something clear, but it's always the search for something, a bigger meaning, a deeper meaning, something that can help you grow. Ninth house is ruled by Sagittarius, is ruled by Jupiter. So in the ninth house, what you always want to get deeper, and you're always gonna go the extra step.
well, that's always it's a really important one, because it's this part of seeking answers and seeking knowledge, and in a way it's kind of like seeking life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the more you contemplate an idea, you're creating in your mind, and then you're creating in the universe. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good one.
With the third house, you say, this is my life. And with the nine, you say, well, what is the meaning of this life that I'm living? With the third
Cool.
house, it's short trips, it's your neighborhood. With the ninth house, then is long trips, is other cultures, is really going to places that you don't relate at all. It's just you have to learn the language, you have to learn, the foods, it's an adventure. So that's also part of house 9, adventures. And
Awesome.
it's not just going for the understanding. With with the ninth house, you're going for the wisdom. You're going deeper into that. Make sense?
Makes sense. Great.
Okay. Now we're going to move to the axis 410s. This 1-7 and 4-10 forms a cross on the natal chart, and they're called cardinal houses, and those are very, very important houses. With 1 and 7, you know who you are and how you interact with others. With 4-10, where you coming from and where you going. So house 4 is where you coming from, your roots. Have to do with society, what society you were born, because that's going to limit in a way, or it's going to set your belief systems. Your home and your family, your parents. There is a lot of discrepancy with 4 and 10. Some people gives the mother energy to house 4 and the father figure energy to house 10. But it's more the parents, the how you were raised, who were with you when you were a child, and what kind of information they gave you, what they put in your system. That is house 4. It's the foundation of your life, society and the rules that shape you. How you feel nurtured, associated with your family, how you feel nurtured, can be associated to motherhood. But in a way, is what parent was with you, giving you all this safety and comfort and making you feel secure and loved and protected. So that's what is more associated with the mother and motherhood. But for some, we have a mother that was working many, many hours, and the one that were with us is the father. So in that case, you receive the comfort and all the love from your father. In that case, father is associated with house number 4. Okay. But is basically our roots and where we're coming from. On the other end, house 10 is where we're going, our career, social status, social responsibilities, our reputation, the changes that we want to create in the world. So what impact we want to create in this world. We came from house 4, where we going. By the time we leave this physical reality, what we left behind here, how we contribute to make this reality a better place. And also how the world is seeing us. Is the image that we present to the world.
I like thinking of it as reputation. It's like this is what I look like, and this is what I'm doing. So this is how people see me.
Mm-hmm.
And your career is always a part of that. And I think it's interesting that there's cycles and 7-year cycles and 14-year cycles, and
Mm-hmm.
and many times when those change hits in the 10th house, it's your job doesn't feel quite the same, and that's because maybe it's supposed to change,
Mm-hmm.
and you're supposed to keep moving. So that's great.
Okay. So, and now we're moving to house 5 and 11. House 5, excuse me. House, house 5 is how you play, how you express your creativity, how you have fun, um, what kind of entertainment you like. You like sports, you like painting, you like dancing. What brings the child in you? What is fun for you? How you shine your light. It's also the house of romance. But when romance gets serious, then it's a relationship. Jump to the 7th house. But once you are in the moment of dating or the beginning of the relationship and it's all nice and fun, that is part of this 5th house, the house 5. Also, your children's. You have your parents in house 4 and you have your kids in house 5. Okay?
Cool.
On the other end, you have house 11, which is you with others, but not one-on-one, you with groups, you with friends, you within a community. It's goals, hopes, and wishes. You play in house 5, but then what you're hoping for is on the other end in house 11. Also have to do
I
with,
feel house 11, I'm drawn to like the meditation, everything we're doing with Cloud9 Online and the meditation app, and people needing to relieve anxiety and depression and loneliness right now. The purpose-driven piece feels like it comes out of house 11, because that's something we want to,
Mhm.
I desperately want to help people and bring this to them.
Well, with house 11, you get together with others to create something good for the good of everybody. So it's really that idea of community, but also being humanitarian and having wishes and hopes of creating something bigger than yourself. It's also what you get from those friendships. So sometimes you have a friend that knows somebody else that is looking for, offering a job that is just what you were looking for. So connections and wealth also can come from your circle, can come from friends. So that's what also a house associated with wealth, but it's not wealth from only what you do. It's also wealth from the people around you helping you.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's also a lot of fun on house 11, unless you have difficult planets. And in that case, you'll see how sometimes you have problems with friends and it's hard for you to belong to a bigger group. But in general, house 11 is fun. And then serious houses, 6 and 12. The 6th house, there are two main things, is health, your own health, and how you service others. What is that in you that you do for others? So it's also the house of personal responsibilities, associated with health, how you take care of your body, how you take care of your place, routines, maybe exercising. Also is the house of your work, and not your career, because your career is house 10, but what you do physically every day, that is on house 6. And also you can put on house 6 your worries, what you worries you, or what are those things that you have to put some effort to make it happen. It's always about giving others and make sure that others are good and doing something to support and help others. On the other side, you have house 12. And this is the spiritual house. The ninth house, in the ninth house, you are looking for answers. In the 12th house, you feel the answers. The 12th house is a water house. So you really are in that state, in that feeling of oneness. It's a house of really high consciousness. It's the end of a cycle. So whatever you were navigating and you were growing from within, you get to the 12th house based on what you have been working through the other 11 houses. It's the house of high consciousness, also psychic abilities, because you are connected with this grid, spiritual grid out there. It's not much of physical stuff. It's more about you really connecting and receiving the messages. So that's what psychic abilities, meditation, sometimes solitude, is the subconscious mind. Things you flow through this house, but it's hard to reason the things that are there. It can be a house of addiction. So it can, when you want to escape from physicality to be in this state of oneness, addictions can manifest, fantasy and illusion. So because it's not much of reality in this house. It's also privacy. It's the house that we don't share. Whatever you have in that 12th house is for yourself. You do not care about sharing that with the world. It's private. It's your own. You want to keep it within you. And it's also the house of karma. Whatever we bring from other lives, we can see it here on the 12th house, the good and the bad.
I know I have so much of
Yeah.
my chart in the 12th house, and I feel that what you say, like, and even it comes across as people that get to know me really well realize that they don't know me really well, which that's the privacy part of it.
There is a part of you that you don't share.
Yeah, and it's very few people know so little, but I also feel like it's that the high consciousness, that oneness is very private in a way, because it's you and your connection, and you there's nothing else to really say about it other than that. It's you and your connection.
Thinking about that, you have that inner knowing of what to say, when to say it, how to say it, right? It's like you have a higher consciousness sometimes channeling and talking through you. So
Yep.
you have that connection because everything that you have on the 12th house. So that connection with all in creation and the downloading of that reality into physicality is one of your gifts because of how much you have on the 12th house.
Right. It's that ability to say the right thing at the right time comes from Mercury being in my 12th house. And I know I pull that through all the time.
It's like you don't have to know where it comes from. It just came and you share it.
And the more it's comfortable, what I find is that it ripples through. When I was working at Travelers and I'd have a presentation to do, I felt at home doing the communication, and I felt alive doing it. So communications always come easy to me. And so there's this way of settling into that oneness piece of it, allows it to just flow very naturally and very, very happily for me.
Mm-hmm. And the more you understand that, the more you can honor and say, this is who I am. So I'm going to use it because I have this in my advantage.
So I
Um,
like this part because this is a good place for us to end, because now we can put everything you just said into practical application, because now let's look at where things are clustered and what it means. So this
mhm.
is great. So this is the new moon.
Yes. So we're gonna have a new moon here in Connecticut tomorrow at 1:45. So we're gonna start a new cycle. And like always, new moon is when you have a conjunction, sun and moon. They're gonna be in Aquarius on the degree number 23rd. So, and this is going to start a new process because the moon again for 4 weeks is going to be carrying this energy until we get to the end of the process, this transformation again. But tomorrow at 1:45, we are planting a new seed. And now let's start analyzing how this seed is going to be. One of the things, and this is the natal chart exactly for that moment, 1:45 tomorrow. Um, let's see. Last month, we were having Uranus and Mars very close. So it was this need to bring the new with so much power, so much strength, so much of right now that could have been probably brought anxiety for us. The need to do something and not knowing what to do, the need to do something, but physicality will not allow us to get it done right away. These two are still in Taurus, but now they're not as close as last month, which means that we might start feeling a little bit of relief here. We still want to create changes and we still have the strength, but they're not working together now. So kind of we feel the release of this anxiety. Still we have a plan. Still we have things to do and still it's a great time to get things done. We have now all this energy here in Aquarius. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in Aquarius. So really, we are embracing the Aquarius energy now. The seed is being planted with this energy, and Aquarius brings transformation. Aquarius brings the new and brings it fast, doesn't wait. Sometimes it creates chaos because we have ways to do things, and Aquarius is always ready to change the ways, to change our realities. And that's not a bad thing, but usually we feel uncomfortable when we have to face changes. We have this feeling of unease. So changes are going to happen with Saturn in Aquarius. That means that we are perceiving something new. In our minds, we know things are new. In our minds, we have new ideas. And Saturn can help us find a structure for the new thoughts that we have. Saturn, in a way, is good at creating structures, but also limiting us. So can become a little bit frustrated. But if you bring the light of Saturn, that means that you have commitment within you. You have strength. You can go step by step, making this new reality or these new ideas start making it part of your physical experience of your life. Trying to figure, okay, this is what's happening now. How can I make this part of my daily life now?
To me, the word that when you think about Saturn, when you mention Saturn, I think process. And it's a softening word for me, because just follow the process, follow the, it'll unfold, and then it can reduce the anxiety, because if you're tapping into a Saturn energy, it feels like it's just going to keep going, and this is the way it is. Even if it is change you're going to go through, there's a
Mhm.
process for going through the change.
And also we can start bringing the change as part of our daily life. So understanding this is the new, but now we're going to make it the permanent. We're going to make it part of our routines. We're going to make it part of our plan.
And
So
if you feel like it's going, like ultimately, this is where some of the personal parts will come in. And it's the same for even the 72 letters and 72 names of God. I mean, the 72 names of God, not 72 letters. It's there's we're talking about the baseline here of understanding, but we're going to move to here's how you can help impact or change or settle through change. If change is going to happen, what you really want to do is embrace the change and move through it in the way that makes you the happiest. So a lot of what we're learning is, if this is the energy, then as you even said, you can even call that energy. And if you call that energy, it'll help you through it.
mhm.
So again, back to this is the baseline of what we're learning. And this happens to be what we're going to look like for the next week.
Yeah. The other beautiful thing that is happening with this new moon is really that once we having this conjunction here, moon and sun, we're having the conjunction Jupiter and Venus. And Jupiter and Venus, Jupiter is the great benefic. Is Jupiter brings you expansion, joy, happiness. But the second one doing that for you is Venus. And we have these two together. So the two energies that really make your life joyful are combining now through this new moon. So, which
So
means
what a
that,
joy versus last month where we were going to have
well,
change and going to give
there's
us some up and down.
still a lot of red lines here.
Yeah.
But what happened with this seed that we are planting is that it has great potential to grow because it's been created with Jupiter and Venus in conjunction. So it's telling you, go for it, have fun. We're gonna make it happen.
Just in time
Take,
for Valentine's Day.
well, really, I didn't think about that, but it's really a beautiful, beautiful push or support that we are getting now, because yeah, it's going to be difficult. We're still dealing with difficulties. We're still trying to manifest all this change into physicality. That's not come easy, and we're going to navigate 3 more years of really figuring out what's happening and how we can make it part of the normal. So for humans, it's always adjusting and changing, is always a little bit stressful. But whatever it is that we are doing, it's a good thing to do. It's going to bring us happiness. It's going to help us expand. It's going to help us enjoy life. So changes can be difficult, but we're going to get joy and happiness if now, in this moment in our lives, we make the changes that we feel we are being forced to make. Because it's not that we are just flowing through changes. We feel that this is the time to change, and we feel the push to make the changes. And with not much information, not knowing exactly what we're changing or where we're going. So still anxiety. But now we have this inner knowing of, but it's going to be okay. It's for the good of you and the good of all of us. So keep going. Even if you don't know exactly the path, keep going. So I love to have in this new moon um, Jupiter and Venus playing with us and helping us. And the other thing that we still have Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrograde, it's really helpful to go within and understand, this is what I experienced. This is what means for me. This is how I can perceive the changes in me. And also revisit what we have been doing in the past that is not helpful, is not useful anymore. And understand it's Mercury on retrograde is really giving us this time to analyze what is still useful that we can keep and what is that we have to let go. And perhaps even can give us a little bit of understanding of where we want to go. If we extend it a little further, like, okay, this is not good anymore. This is what I'm keeping, and I want to get here. So Mercury on retrograde can help you analyze that path.
Yeah, I love that. And it's also the and if you're not doing it, so when people say, oh, well, what's the impact, it's like you said, it's the most famous in retrograde, right? And when it's in retrograde, if you're not taking time to kind of go within your computer, your phone, I mean, I would just tell people, like, do your best to change how you think about all your devices that communicate, because if you don't, they just shut off. And it can be very frustrating that that's how it happens. So
So
do it voluntarily or do it.
exactly, with Mercury retrograde, you are being forced to go within. So if
Right.
you don't set time aside to go within, life is going to give you things that will force you to go within. So take your time before something breaks, and then you have nothing to do until things got fixed. Instead of waiting for that moment, just take some time, and meditation, contemplation, it's great when you have Mercury retrograde.
And I even find that, like, even over this last week, it's interesting. Delana and I are watching a show, and I I find I'll even, like, stop in the, like, if we stop it for some reason, I'll say, interesting, because blah 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 blah. So I'm getting introspective even about something, a TV show that we're watching. So it cued me to think that way, which I thought is kind of a interesting piece of it. I might not normally have said that, but for some reason right now, it felt really good to be a little bit introspective and what about this and what about that? And
Yeah,
so,
the other thing is when you talk, because Mercury has to do with communication, notice what you are getting from communicating with others. Notice that hidden information that you can collect when you are interacting with another. Sometimes people say something that makes you upset. What are those things that makes you upset? Why those things make you upset? What
right,
triggers within you? So if you see it just plain Mercury retrograde, you will get upset. It's going to be a misunderstanding. You're going to
right,
be angry. But if you move beyond that, if you try to see the bigger meaning of this energy, is okay, why is this situation hurting me? Why, when somebody says, oh, you're so serious, why I get upset? Why this word creates or open a wound in me? So when you start interacting with others, notice what the others are saying, notice what the others are doing, and you might get really important information about yourself. And once you bring that awareness, then it's easy to get the healing.
absolutely. So as we're getting close to the end here for this episode and this part one, is there any like wrap it up advice that you have for folks as we're kind of waiting until next week?
What I feel that it would be nice for all of us to understand you're starting the new cycle tomorrow. And you can come with an intention of creating something new, really bringing what gives you joy because it's Venus. Really knowing that that thing that you are perceiving that you think it will make you happy, you have a good chance to make it happen. Now, the struggle is going to be there. You're going to have to work really hard to manifest. It might take time. You have Saturn there. So it might be, you might need time to see um, all the good coming to your life. But you are planting the seed. You are not, it's not the time to collect the good. It's the time to really take that first step in the direction that you feel in your heart you need to go. That first step to release something that is not working for you anymore. That first step on creating something that you know is going to make you happy years from now. So, and if it feels and perhaps you're seeing it as something difficult or something impossible or too big or too good to be true, um, Venus and Jupiter are there for you. So it might actually manifest. Actually, it will manifest with time. So take the first step, be brave, and have faith.
And my one anecdotal thought is today I felt very calm about the process of working out and strengthening my body. Like, and I know that that's just coming. Like I know it's going to impact me later in my life. And the Saturn part of that, I just feel it is just a process. I'm not trying to do 50 things today. I know I'm just going to keep adding new exercises and new strengthening, and it feeds me. It makes me feel good, and it has this kind of short-term impact and long-term impact. So that would be my example of how it's probably going to feel to us, is that take it bit by bit, but you're changing. I'm excited about, having good weather and, feeling good about my body and feeling good about the clothes I wear and all that. So that would be my example of it.
Okay, perfect. So we are very, very happy to communicate and share these ideas with everybody. And the, our plan is to keep giving you information, not only about the energies of the day, but also how you can understand your own wiring, your own inner wiring, so that way you can start transforming your life.
So remember, you can find this on YouTube. You can find some of the papers around what the different houses are, and information on Laura's Facebook page. And you can always look us up at Cloud9 Online for meditation help if you need it. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a great
Nice,
day and
a
a great
nice,
week.
nice week. Yeah. Bye.